Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
But it was the ticket for the $1,296. We each got one. And again, I mean, just like all the other ones, it's just failed to comply with a public health emergency order, even though he said it was for attending an illegal gathering. The best part of all this is 2 days later, our family went skating at the Forks with hundreds of other people. Hundreds. It's insane. I'm so tired of all this.
Today I'm bringing you the story of Melissa and Kelly Hildebrands. Now, they are a couple of our Fight the Fines cases from Manitoba. Melissa and her husband, well, they had a little bit of a bone to pick with the lockdown restrictions in Manitoba that are preventing little kids from playing hockey. Public health officials in Canada can find ways for multi-millionaire professional sports players to play Canada's greatest game, but they aren't finding ways for little kids who have no risk of really contracting the coronavirus to play the sport they love with their little friends. It's unfair. It doesn't make any sense. So Melissa and a few other people decided that they were going to protest a bad government decision politely and peacefully. It's the Canadian way, and if Canadians are going to get upset about something and protest anything, well, taking hockey away, that seems pretty on the nose. But Melissa and her husband ended up receiving lockdown tickets for their peaceful assembly. It's unconstitutional. Just take a listen.
So my husband and I attended a rally. It was a small one, and it was on, I can't remember the date exactly, I guess last Thursday. And it was in Winnipeg, just outside the MTS Centre. And it was the evening that the Jets played their first home game. So basically the point of this one was that if the Jets and the hockey players can play sports, so can the rest of us. If they can be open for business, that is their job. They are making money. Then we were also protesting that small businesses should open up and make their money, make their living, right? So, and it was a small protest. So I think the max amount of people that were there at one time would have been 40. So, and that didn't even last long. So for the majority of the 1 hour that my husband and I were there was about 20 of us. And my husband and I were standing on kind of the corner of Portage and Donald, I believe it was. And again, we were there for an hour. And then when we left and we drove up Portage. We had already left the rally, and we turned onto Main Street. And as soon as we made the turn onto the Main Street is when the police put on their lights and siren and pulled us over. So we knew right away what they were doing. So then we pulled over, and 6 police officers surrounded our vehicle. So not just the 2 from the one cruiser, right? There was, I guess, two cruisers, but then there was 2 extra police officers that kind of came out of nowhere. So there was 6 of them.
You're not wanted for bank robbery or anything that I don't know about, right? Like,
right.
Why 6 cops?
I don't know. And they called it an illegal gathering, is what they called it when they said why they were issuing the ticket, or the tickets, I should say. So basically what first happened was they had asked my husband for his ID, his driver's license. He was driving. It's not a big deal. Like, we knew we were getting this ticket. We know it's what we were doing wasn't illegal, and it's not wrong. And we have every right to protest. And so then they asked me for my ID, my driver's license, and I told them, I said, I don't have it with me. I'm not driving. I don't need it, and I don't need to give it to you. So we kind of went back and forth this conversation, and it came to the point where the police officer said that if I did not give him ID or tell him who I was, they were gonna pull me from my vehicle and detain me until they found out who I was. So I'm not in a position to be ripped out of my vehicle and sat in the back of a police cruiser, or better yet, taken to a detainment center. Like, who knows, right? So I gave him my name and my address, and he wrote us both a ticket. And then we were on our way. But it was, how do I explain it? I think because I've seen so much of this happening already, like, I know they're trying to intimidate people. It's clear, 6 police officers, right? And then the one on the passenger side had this bright light flashing in my window. So I had rolled down the window, and I said to him, like, do you have to do that? And he repeated twice, yes, it is for my safety. I was like, I just laughed. I'm like, okay, yep, okay, better, whatever. So we had our tickets and went on our way. And it was for attending an illegal gathering, so it had nothing to do with masks or anything. But it was the ticket for the $1,296. We each got one. And again, I mean, just like all the other ones, it's just failed to comply with a public health emergency order, even though he said it was for attending an illegal gathering. The best part of all this is 2 days later, our family went skating at the Forks with hundreds of other people. Hundreds. I have pictures of it. I've posted pictures on social media, and there was a DJ playing there on the river. Okay, so obviously that was like promoted, and nothing illegal about that. I think the whole evening we saw one security guard just walking along the trails, just making his dollar, and it's insane. I'm so tired of all this.
Well, I am too. And I think it is ridiculous that 40 people protesting the fact that kids' sports are closed and that small businesses are closed are being ticketed, and 6 cops are coming down on you and your husband when there are clearly way more than 40 people inside the professional arena at the very same time as your 40 people are out protesting outside. And that's fine because that's big business, but small business and people who want their kids to be allowed to play hockey too, that's illegal. And now your family has $2,600 in fines. Well, I think that's crazy. I think that if hockey players, professional ones, can play hockey, then kids can play too. I think if the arena can be open for professional hockey players, then the arena can be open for minor hockey too. I think all businesses are essential, and I think the right to protest is essential. And that's why we are going to help you and your husband fight those enormous COVID lockdown fines, courtesy of the alleged conservative Brian Pallister. We're going to do it at no cost to you.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. You guys are a blessing.
Well, thank you so much, but we couldn't do it without the help of our supporters at home who are going to crowdfund to cover your legal costs. We're going to put you in touch with a top criminal lawyer. And between me and you and your husband and all of our supporters out there, let's try to make Manitoba just a little bit more free.
Yes, I agree.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much. I want to ask you one more question. Is this going to stop you from protesting?
Absolutely not. No, and again, it's not out there looking for trouble. There's a lot of people that don't want to go for these reasons of fear of getting fined, because they've clearly instilled fear in so many of us, right? That people could protest back in the summertime and it was a non-issue, right? So yeah, absolutely. I'll keep fighting for our freedoms.
Like I said, we gave Melissa and her husband Kelly's cases to a lawyer, Josh Halpern. He's our top criminal lawyer working on our Fight the Fines cases in a lot of jurisdictions across the country. But he has a ton of cases he's handling for us in Manitoba, and he's got a plan to fight back. Check it out.
The government has essentially created this culture of fear to justify restricting our liberties. And this fear is unsubstantiated. There just isn't the evidence to back it up. So to go ahead and use this manufactured fear to take away not just one of our charter rights and civil liberties, but to take away virtually all of them is completely reckless. And because of this government's recklessness, the freedom of assembly, including our right to protest, is more important now than ever. But obviously, this right, the freedom of assembly, the right to protest, has been stripped away. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation. It's more important now than ever, but we can't do it. And if you dare exercise these charter rights that have been improperly stripped away, you'll be punished. Punished by the government with excessive fines in the thousands of dollars and potential criminal charges, and also punished by the people who are quick to report on you, punished by your neighbors, punished by people who treat you like a pariah, who stigmatize you, who look at you and judge without knowing, let's say it's a mask situation, without knowing, maybe this person has a medical exemption, maybe they don't need to wear a mask, but no, quick to judge, and it's just wrong.
Now, Josh, I know that we have, hundreds of cases all across the country, and you're working hard on so many of them. But why did you think it was important to take on the case of the Hildebrands? They aren't rich people. They aren't, they aren't high profile people. They're just normal people. So why did you find their case so compelling?
Yeah, the Hildebrands are just your average family who are brave enough to stand up for their charter rights, something that a lot of us are not brave enough to do. And, they're being treated like criminals. I mean, imagine they're on their way back home from a small protest. This isn't a huge protest. This is a small protest, and they're being chased, not by one, but by several police cruisers. I mean, you would think that they just came back from a bank robbery. All they're trying to do is live somewhat normal lives and protest for the right of their children to take part in a recreational activity. So, by standing up for them, I'm standing up for democracy. And, if we don't stand up now, the question is, will there be any limit to what all of the unsubstantiated fear can justify?
Now, I think Melissa and her husband Kelly's fines are ridiculous. And so I'm very glad we gave them to a fighter like Joshua Halpern. He's working to help them fight these tickets in court at no cost to them. Now, if you'd like to help us fight for civil liberties by fighting one lockdown ticket, one Canadian or one Canadian family at a time, you can donate today at fightthefines.com. There's only one way to put these governments back in check, and that's by taking the fight to them. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you'd like to help us fight for civil liberties across this country by fighting these lockdown tickets in court, you can donate today at that special website, fightthefines.com. And if you've received a lockdown ticket, I don't want you to pay it. I want you to fight it. Send it to us at fightthefines.com, and we'll put you in touch with a top criminal lawyer at no cost to you, and we will do our best to fight that ticket in court.